Joe.
What's up, buddy? How are you today?
Dude, just getting along. Gonna my wife wrenched her knee, so I'm gonna be spending a little afternoon time on doctor crutches or something. I don't know. Joe.
No, it's yeah, but this quality time is, later on in life you'll be looking back on it going, gee, that was fun.
Is that what you call it?
Yeah, I think so. When you're 97 and full blown dementia, you'll be longing back for, oh yes, I remember all those honeydews.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Nah,
No,
she's in a lot of pain. So
no, I know I'm not. I just,
no,
to
I know.
me, I always what I say to my daughter a lot is that, look, life is full of pain, but look outside. It's 65 degrees and sunny right now, and there's a flowering tree right there, and there's peacocks over there, and it's like, you could have it a lot worse.
Oh, please. We're living such a privileged life.
Yeah, and then we get embroiled in all of our stuff, and we don't realize it, and so then, that's when it gets tough. But yeah, another glorious day in paradise down here, everyone, and just figuring out what comes next.
A lot of you are out there freezing your asses off.
Yeah, I was reading about the snow coming to DC again, more of it. And I don't miss that. That's for sure.
Oh man, I couldn't take it. Let's see. We do have our special guest, Eamon or Zero G's. So I'm going to use both of his names, joining us in about, I think about 15 minutes. And he's going to talk. He's going to learn us some convex and curve, and give us his thoughts on what's there and what we might be able to do in that world. And cool. Yeah, and so then we also have, Andre Cronje just tweeted. I wonder if there's an update on their project. So we got all that going on. He retweeted a tweet that Phantom TVL has now hit 10 billion.
Nice.
It's 182% growth in 24 hours. The fuck? What does multi-chain dominance mean? Does that mean
it's on more chains than the other ones, maybe?
No, it's the token, not the chain. You're right. Yeah, that's what it is. Well, I don't know.
So we're looking at, you said
Phantom.
So
this isn't chain. This is.
Their TVL went up 30% in one day. It looks the protocols went up 30% in one day.
What's its total value locked on chain? Can you see that?
I'm seeing a 6.89 billion on DeFi Llama. But let me look at the big overview one too.
I never know if those numbers are fucking right or not, because I don't know if they count all the existing protocols on the chains. DeFi has to get much better at that. Oh, my buddy Alex that I interviewed from Eureka that we talked about yesterday, just posted a Medium article called "Introducing R-APY: How APY Returns Have Deceived You." And it's a pretty simple concept. Basically, what he's saying is because everyone else is getting the same number of tokens, and it's inflationary because they're printing tokens, they're emitting tokens, that you're really not getting that APY. Right. And so obviously, if the price of the token isn't increasing or it's decreasing because of the inflationary nature of it, you're going to lose value. That said, if a project like Olympus is strong and price rebounds, and as it's already started to do, price rebounds and gets back up, if you went from 300 tokens to 365 tokens, and price gets back to $800 or $900 or $1,000, that's a pretty hefty increase in value. I get his point. I really do understand what he's saying and what he's trying to be kind of open book and clear about what the APYs really represent. And it's true that as tokens are printed, it's inflationary. But projects like Olympus are actually addressing that, reducing the APYs, expecting those APYs to continue to reduce over time. Now, something that did come out of my conversation yesterday with Justin Bram, who I interviewed because he's now head of growth at Ondo Finance, which is also an interesting play. We'll talk about another day. But Justin is not a fan of Olympus and or forks. And His problem with them is, again, emissions and inflation, but he doesn't think the model is that special. I tend to disagree with him. He has Ondo competes as a liquidity provider, as a service provider. Like they provide liquidity to other projects in their pools, but so he has a bias there, admittedly. But his problem is I don't know that he's taken a deep enough dive in it. But the one thing he did bring up to me that I was not aware of, and everyone should be aware of, is that the pre-sale tokens that were sold to VCs are called POM, and they are I think at the end of a year from launch, those start vesting. And those POM tokens, I believe, were purchased for 80 cents, is what I read in an article yesterday. I haven't taken a deep enough dive into this. So you can imagine that as those investors get those large supplies of POM, and they start exercising the option on that we could see some dumping coming in on Olympus DAO. So
what was the launch date?
I believe it was May-ish. I think we may be in a May-ish time frame. Anyway, it was a little disconcerting because I had not been aware of POM. What was interesting was, though, I went back through because I was looking at because the project had addressed POM in a Medium article, right? Olympus DAO actually addressed it. I'm assuming Zeus wrote it. In the early days, what was very interesting to me was reading the early Olympus documents that actually, I don't think he ever imagined that this token was going to hit like $1,200 a token. When you look at the documents, it talks a lot about the ideal is to stay pegged close to DAI, and then when it drops, you're printing, and when it goes over, when it goes under, you're buying and burning, and when it goes above, you're printing more tokens, and the APY goes up. It's interesting because a lot of the language he uses in the document, in the Medium post that I was reading, is very oriented to this thing sitting around like, $1 to $10. So in my interview with him, we didn't get into kind of what he expected initially in terms of price of the token. We did talk about his gaming it out and how they had run models, and he felt like $200 to $300 million market cap was like his valley of death, right? If they got through that they were in good shape. But we never talked about what was his expectation in terms of token price at the time, that where this thing would go, or if he expected it to remain stable around $1. We did talk about, though, the fact that he did say he never expected it to be pegged as a stable coin like a traditional algorithmic stable coin. So anyway, very interesting stuff. I learned a lot, and Justin's brilliant. I mean, he's a really solid analyst, creates amazing content. If you haven't checked his Justin Bram on YouTube, everybody do, because he just creates awesome content. So and Joe, I wasn't taking notes, and I got to tell you, it takes me fucking forever to go back and remember everything we talked about when I'm posting the episode, so I'm going to open up a file to do that now.
Also, you might want to put our banner up. Just
you know what, Joe? You know what you have to do to be able to have that banner pop up? You just need admin rights. It'd be cool is if I gave you admin rights.
Didn't you?
I did, but you haven't clicked the fucking link in your email yet.
Okay, so let's see. All right. I thought for sure. No, I know, because I was doing it on my phone, and that goes into a browser that shuts down everything and doing cookies.
Blah, 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 blah.
All right, let me see if I can find this, and then I'll be able to do that for you.
Yeah. Okay, so we talked about Olympus, Justin Bram, and POM, and We talked about Alex from Eureka, which again, I'm really impressed with this guy. He told me on the call, I said, look, you need to post an article about what you mean about absolute versus relative APY, thus our APY. And like 24 hours later, the man wrote the article. I'm impressed. So I'll share that on Twitter and in the Mission DeFi Lunch Discord server. So Alex and R-APY. So if you haven't joined the DeFi server, the Discord server, everybody, you can visit missiondefi.com and click the little Discord button at the top. Oh, one more thing, Joe. I want to ask everybody that listens to this show or listens to Mission DeFi or both, please, 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 please go to Apple Podcasts, Apple iTunes on your phone or in your browser, search for DeFi Lunch search for Mission DeFi, which DeFi Lunch feeds into on that podcast. And please leave a review and subscribe to it, even if you watch us on YouTube, or now you can watch us on missiondefi.com. Please give us a review. The more reviews we have, the more people, the higher we show up in search engines when people are searching for DeFi and crypto, etc. And the more people get exposure to us, and the more we can create content and have a bigger audience. And then the more people that join the Discord server and start taking part in some of the cool experiments that we're doing as a community. So please go to Apple Podcast, Apple iTunes on your phone or in your web browser and leave us a review. We would be so grateful. Thank you very much. And if you hate us, send me a DM.
Fuck off. Sorry, I was channeling my
fuck
Logan
are you
Roy.
Listening? If you hate
I was
us.
channeling my Logan Roy.
Although there are some very popular personalities in the media world that a huge majority of the people that watch them just watched them because they hated them. So it's all good. We're good with that.
Yeah, I don't really embrace the hate much. That's not.
Don't embrace the hate, Joe. Joe's a lover, not a fighter.
Things. That's right.
Joe's
but I will talk
a fire.
I will talk a lot of trash, though.
Now, what does this mean? Midi Gupta, I believe he's from Sushi, posted a meme that says curve ohm convex bribes VE33. That's the new token that Andre is producing. Anyway, let's see, Joe. What else did we have? Did we have anything else exciting? Oh, this was cool. I saw an article yesterday. Let me start sharing. I saw an article yesterday that some guy with a tiny little underpowered miner was able to mint a Bitcoin worth $266,000. And that to me, I just had this picture of this dude with a couple of little ant miners in his, basement or his garage or his spare bedroom. And he's been running them for like 6 years, upgrading them, pampering them, overclocking the CPU and the GPU, whatever you got to do to those fucking things. I don't know shit about mining. And then all of a sudden, bam, 266 grand, 6.5 BTC, because he gets that fucking lucky twist on solving the algorithm with his little tiny and low powered miners. That to me is just, that excites the shit out of me. I love that.
Yeah, I think of it as like somebody in a college dorm somewhere that's plugged into the wall, pulling power from the States. Or it's, somebody in like running, like they're in a condo building, running a power cable down the hall to something, I think it's somebody who definitely hacked it. But in like, I think I read a little bit of an article. It was like, what was it? Like 9 ant miners strung together, S9s or something like that. I can't remember
Well, they said they're all guessing what it is. Nobody knows who it is. So,
which is pretty, there you go. That's like hitting the lottery.
Exactly.
I think one hit like that last year, maybe. And I mean, it's so unlikely to happen these days.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So. Hey, Eamon's with us.
All right. Hey, buddy.
Eamon, 0 G's. This is the man who is working tirelessly to help us while also working on multiple projects at the same time and keeping the day gig part-time. So, that's hardworking guy. Thanks so much for joining us, man.
Oh, heck yeah. Thanks for having me.
It's awesome. So Eamon has been, Joe, he's been working on the smart contracts and the tokens and everything else for getting the club going and
Cool.
making awesome progress, talking to people to get the tech hammered out. But he's also working on some analytics on Convex and Curve and what it means and how it works and what's possible. So Eamon, how do you want to do that? Well, first tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell the community, what's your background, how you ended up in this insanity.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, my normal job is working as a nurse, but I've been interested in crypto since like 2012 when I first heard of Bitcoin, and back when you could mine it a little bit on your laptop still.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I don't know, kind of sat out the 2017 bull run after losing some keys for that old Bitcoin wallet.
Yeah, never fun. Never
hard
fun.
lessons learned.
That's the shit that just sits in the back of your head, and you're just like, oh man, I can't believe that.
Yeah, seriously.
But at least you're not wading through a junkyard looking for hard drives.
Yeah. No, I've got a box full of hard drives I'm still kind of thinking of digging through. So
yeah, hoping to find the Holy Grail in there. Yeah.
Oh, geez. Yeah, I don't know. Got reinterested in it all when I saw everything tank back in 2020, and then started playing around with DeFi and realized, oh dang, this actually has like actual use case and is not just a illegal fundraising campaign.
Yeah, exactly.
The ICO craze.
Yeah.
So I don't know. My first DeFi play was actually into like 5 layers of a CRV token lockup and staking and LPing, and I didn't know what I was doing. So
yeah, no, nobody does at first.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing was I kind of had forgotten about that little LP position, but having bought that CRV and locked it up through the Yearn vaults, like it got me the Convex airdrop. And so since then, this summer, I've been like kind of digging in a little more and more until I've realized just how sweet this whole Curve War situation is. And
nice.
Convex kind of changes that game. So
that's awesome. All right. So, and you're also kind of self-taught some programming skills, right?
Yeah. I had taught myself HTML back in the 90s in middle school, and have been working on Solidity and Python and stuff for the last year now. So
nice.
Taking a couple of courses, one through Consensus for their boot camp there. And yeah.
So did you learn Python first and then climbed into Solidity, or?
No, I did Solidity first and then started digging into Python.
That's interesting.
Kind of backwards.
So you went from HTML to Solidity. That's crazy, man. You must have some good skills for it then, because that's a hard road.
Yeah,
that's hard.
Pretty interesting.
All right, so thank you very much for all the help you're working on the club and making it possible for all of us to do what we need to do. Really appreciate that, and we'll keep talking about that. But you have been climbing in. Obviously, you've made some money on Curve, and you've been in it for a while. Can you walk people through what Curve is and why it's important, and then the role that Convex plays, and why all of this is so important to projects and should be probably potentially important to all of us? And then what you've done an analysis document of the whole situation, and kind of what your thoughts are on that as well.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds good.
Cool. Do you need to share screen or anything?
Yeah. How do
At the bottom, there should be a share button.
Oh, there you go.
And then after you share it up, I'll just click add to stream.
Gotcha.
Joe could click add to stream if he was an admin, but he's not. So.
Does it let me pick which screen? Or
it should ask you to pick a window or a tab or.
Okay, there we go. Screen, entire screen. Oh, it's making me do a authentication.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Uh-oh. It's going to kick me off of here really quick.
Okay, come back in. That's cool.
Reopen.
Okay, that's cool. Come back in.
Cool.
Okay.
You might be. Are you? Yeah, you're still blurry, buddy. I was trying to message you that.
Fuck.
It's all that. It's an
no,
Apple
it's just
shit.
Logitech. It's not an Apple camera. It's a Logitech camera.
Mm.
Oh, fuck you and fucking Apple. Just because I busted your chops to get a real fucking computer instead of that disposable shit you buy.
Not only once. You're still blurry, buddy.
I know.
Probably helps for your, Tinder stuff.
I'm just gonna stay off camera, and you could run the whole show. When Eamon gets back, tell him I'm gone.
You're just a little. Here we go.
Eamon, it's just you and Joe from now on. You're all on your own. No, I'm kidding.
Brad fired himself.
I love it.
It's still out of focus, Joe.
Yeah.
You guys, Eamon, here, I'll add it to the stream. You get started, Eamon, and I'm going to figure out how to fix my camera while you're doing that.
Cool. Also, I just want to chime in on the whole Apple Windows battle. I'm all in on Mac. So
nice, very nice. I knew you were brilliant. I knew you were a brilliant young man. Yeah.
Yeah,
Joe,
I'm not anti-Mac or anything. It's just I like to tease Brad about it. Just because.
That's fair.
Because he's given me shit before for my disposable.
Joe
stuff.
buys disposable computers. So
yeah, like Lenovo's and anything around $600, $700 basically.
His own daughter makes fun of him. It's okay. He's just getting it from all sides, so he can't take it. That's the problem.
I mean, you can buy 5 Windows computers for the price of one Apple, and you know what? You will.
Yeah, exactly.
No, these last about a year and a half for me, because eventually it's the touchscreen ones and the foldable ones. So eventually I end up breaking that. But we all know about that. So while Brad's off trying to figure out how to make himself look pretty, why don't you tell us what is up?
Sure. So basic overview, Curve is just like a giant AMM liquidity pool provider location where now anybody can kind of put in, if they meet the certain goals, various liquidity pairs. It used to just be stables, but now you're able to pair things that aren't necessarily stable.
Okay.
But it's got $24 billion locked on it.
Yeah,
incredible.
It's
these are fairly low risk kind of plays, right? There's nothing in here that's going to be like 500% APY or anything.
Yeah. I think some of the highest APY ones are actually there's like the MIM, there's the convex pools. Let's see. This is just totally going slow. Wow, this video streaming thing takes up a lot of bandwidth.
Dude, I tell you, we're probably gonna have to switch from StreamYard because it just sucks the CPU out of and RAM out of machines. It's brutal.
I mean, when it's searching for all the seed phrases for us.
Yeah, I'm gonna
weird connections.
I'm gonna turn off my camera so I'm not taking up so much of the stream.
Right on. So it's some of these are the base APYs, and they're kind of in the single digit range or below. But then you end up getting boosted rewards because CRV is the token paid out by Convex. So it allows protocols to basically bootstrap liquidity without having to emit their own token and inflate it. Like on, Define, it was emitting massive amounts of DFYN, and I don't know, the price kind of just slowly ground down for a while.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it did. So I'm assuming do protocols have to be approved by the community before they can be in Curve pools, or can anybody create a Curve pool? Do you know?
I think there's some specific requirements that you have to meet about volume and pool size. I'm not exactly sure, but it's all in the docs.
Okay, that's cool. All right, so and Curve is important because it is providing a majority of liquidity for a lot of protocols, right? I mean, that's the case, is that most of DeFi liquidity in some way, especially on stables, is running through here.
Yeah, definitely. You've got, all the Frax, all the MIM. These are just massive pools. Like, I mean, heck, just the trading volume on the MIM so far is $32 million today. So
incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing how deep these liquidity pools are, which is important when you're a whale. And if you're moving massive amounts of money, you know, a 0.5% loss is big.
Yeah.
And the trading fees, like the LP fee is, I think, 0.04% instead of, like, Sushi's good and it's 0.3%. So
right. Yeah.
Magnitude better.
Yeah. So, and this is critical because otherwise the level of volume that a lot of these projects see for larger trades just wouldn't happen if we didn't have some level of some concentrated liquidity somewhere. And this is what this really provides to all of DeFi.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And then the CRV token that's emitted, that is the governance token for, well, it's just an emission token. But then if you lock it in their gauge, you get VECRV, so this vote escrow token, which currently there's 370 million or so.
Okay.
But you have to lock it up for 4 years, and I know Frax, you can lock it for 4 years, and then you get 4 VEFXS, and on Curve you get 1 if you lock it for the full time.
Can you then take those tokens in like the 4-year lock ones, and then you could then stake them somewhere else for more yield, right?
You can't move the vote escrow tokens. They're non-transferable.
Okay.
Okay. So there's no way to leverage those into something else.
Yeah, not right now. I think that's maybe something that I maybe heard about Frax looking to make it so that you can borrow against your VEFXS, and I think I was reading something about that in the 3.3 stuff that's coming out.
So in context with this, the VECRV allows holders to vote, and they're voting for how the liquidity gets provisioned for projects.
Yeah, how the so this is the gauge, and I think it's every week, every 2 weeks. I know the CVX tokens vote every 2 weeks. I think these are weekly. But it's basically how you want the CRV emissions to be rewarded. So it's kind of a boost. They can do 2.5 times the normal CRV emissions based on the weighting.
So you're saying you're voting to say, I would like to get, as I get emissions, I would like them to be allocated amongst these projects.
Yeah. And
because I think project X could emit more and project Y could emit less, or there's more value and stability in project X, whatever your reasoning may be.
Yeah. Or if you're like an LP, or realistically, I mean, because these votes happen so much, and it does cost gas every time you want to vote, you've kind of got to have a big bag. And then so like protocols like the MIM Abracadabra will stack up VECRV votes and then allocate to their gauge so that their rewards are boosted. And Frax does the same, but they've kind of been doing it through Convex, also using the CVX voting. But
okay, so now people have their VECRV and they can vote on the allocations, and that's important because these projects really want to make sure they have a bigger allocation of essentially the liquidity that Curve provides, and that's important to them. Plus, they have the potential, if they own the liquidity, to make fees, et cetera, et cetera. So Convex does what?
Convex is kind of, I don't know, I try to think of it like a meta governance, where you as a individual or a protocol want to have your votes allocated, but you want to do it efficiently. And that whole time lock thing, it starts counting down as soon as you lock it up into VECRV. You're also earning rewards on that. Half of that 0.04% you get paid back just in, I think, the 3 CRV token, which is like the stable pair pool. So you're kind of getting paid back in dollars instead of a token that has a variable price. But Convex continuously relocks that VECRV since they have a big pool of it. It makes sense. And then you're able to maximize your voting power and then allocate those votes to these pools, whether you've got some in it or not, or you just want the bribes that have started developing in this ecosystem.
So you could, so rather than lock your CRV, you buy CRV and you bring it to Convex?
Yeah, that's one of the ways you can do it. You can, right here on this first one, you can irreversibly lock your CRV onto Convex, and they give you back CVX CRV, which is liquid. Remember, the VECRV can't be transferred.
Right.
CVX CRV can.
Okay.
So you can trade in and out of it, and
so they emit CVX to people who come in and lock basically for themselves. They no longer have their CRV. They're exchanging CRV for CVX.
Yeah. And you earn these. This is the breakdown of the yields here. And so you get CRV back. You get CVX right now while they're still minting CVX. And then you get 3 CRV, which is the tri crypto pool.
Okay. So they're taking the rewards that you would lock up and they're giving them back to you at some lower level. That the project, I assume, keeps some. So staking your CRV with them actually helps you earn CVX, CRV, and 3 CRV. And then I'm assuming you could compound your CRV into Convex that you've gotten as rewards and put it back into the pools, right?
Yeah. So Convex takes a fee, but gives it basically all back to people who are utilizing it. And so this is, like, I think it's currently 17%. These are variable, but it's a maximum of 20, and 20 is the same as what like Yearn does.
Right.
And so they give a large portion of the protocol fees of all the CRV generated. So 16% of each, you stake your liquidity pair
right
onto here. And then these are all those different curve pools.
Right.
And so you can earn boosted yields on those. The CRV is generated by your LP pair from the transaction fees and those emissions you're voting on.
Okay.
And then that is distributed. They take a portion of that CRV, only that, distribute it to the CVX CRV stakers. You also get the CVX stakers, and then also right now they have, I think, 1 extra %. So this is CVX stakers and lockers, and then 1 extra % to the lockers, which is how you turn your CVX into vote locked CVX, so that it's locked for 16 weeks instead of 4 years. And then you can allocate your votes that control, like each CVX controls all the CRV in the protocol, the VECRV.
So the CVX, you get your CVX rewards from staking the CRV. You take the CVX and you stake it and lock it for 16 weeks. And now that gives you the voting rights on the VECRV that the project holds.
Right. And so Convex has a lot of CRV on their balance sheet. So they have 175 million right now.
Okay.
And that's converted into VECRV and then redistributed by a token representing that as the CVX CRV. So that 175 million is converted into that locked, where'd it go? Yeah, here we go, minter or locker. Basically, they have 175 million of the total 370 million.
Wow.
CRV that are locked.
So they have over 50% of the voting power on Curve. Yeah. Allocation voting power.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
And so now, what's happening is, so you could essentially get some fairly decent APYs. Now you are staking stables to other coins, right? Like stables to ETH, stables to other pairs, but you can earn, some pretty significant rewards from the fact that you're staking those because of what you get from Curve and CVX bonuses and staking. Then how do bribes come into play?
That's a recent development. And yeah, these are like yields on. So first you take your.
So that's a stable to stable. That's awesome.
Yeah. Right.
What was the yield on that stable to stable?
21%.
Yeah.
For MIM UST.
Yeah, those are the ones that I just love, those pools.
Right. And so that, let's see, you take the liquidity position that you put in, and then you can stake it on Convex. And currently, this was like from earlier this week, they have 93% of that $24 billion that's in Convex.
Wow.
Or in Curve is staked onto Convex.
93% of the stake is on Convex?
Yeah.
Holy
93% of that 24 billion.
Yeah.
And
because
so
everybody moved theirs directly out of Curve to here because they earn more?
Yes, exactly. And so it's, instead of staking it onto a gauge, you can stake it onto here. And that means that 93% of the CRV is passing through Convex. They don't take that and keep it. They give it back to the people who stake, minus their little fee.
So theoretically, Convex is in control of the Curve protocol.
Kind of, yeah. In control of the emission rewards,
right,
or like the boostings for those pools.
So, I mean, if I'm going to oversimplify this a little bit, but all of the Curve war stuff that's being talked about, it's all about that gauge, the boosts on those pools, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
And so all the projects want to own Convex to control the voting because Convex controls 93%, so that their project gets the majority or more of the liquidity as well as the yield on that.
And especially if it's like protocol owned liquidity, then they're getting that CRV back, and they can lock it up and get more boosting rewards in the future, because CRV is massively inflationary, and so you've got to maintain that position to be able to keep your same pool share. And like, look at this over time. This is since Convex launched. Frax was kind of the early adopter here, just slowly locking up more and more CVX over time. And these are all DAOs. You've got like, Badger, Olympus, Alchemix, Mochi. Their wallet was blacklisted with that whole debacle where they were printing. I'm not sure I really understand that part, but that section of the vote doesn't get to count.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. Let's see, and then Squid DAO, they just stepped in. This doesn't have.
Is Frax still the largest? Yeah, it looks like it.
Yep. It doesn't have redacted on here.
So do you understand how Well, wait, let's not do that first.
Yeah.
Let's first talk about Convex. So in your analysis of Convex, and this is not financial advice, and Eamon is not your financial advisor, and Definitely. He is not going to tell you what you should do. This is his own opinion and his own research. You should do your own research. In your analysis, what should we buy? No, I'm just kidding. What?
And when? What's the price? And what's your seed phrase?
No, seriously though, kind of, you've spent a huge amount of time kind of evaluating the opportunity here. And what are your thoughts overall? Are you going to publish this document so people could read it for themselves too?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
I'm just trying to like finish polishing it up a little bit, but might as well do that before it becomes irrelevant. Everything moves so fast here.
Yeah.
But what's your overall thought? Are you someone who's saying, okay, I'm going to invest in Convex, or I am invested in Convex, and I think this is, for me,
that would be a good disclosure. I'm not affiliated with them. I am definitely a bag holder of CVX, and I think it's great. And part of the beauty was back to that part you were touching on, the bribes. Andrew Conye, he had started this CRV vote incentive. So this was directly for the votes based in VE CRV. So these pools could be given bonuses. So CRV ETH, DAI USD, so this is the Tri Crypto. Anyways, they started that, and then Convex enhanced it, and then this is Vodium, is the voting platform that came off of Convex for that vote locked CVX. But Llama Air Force, they do an awesome job breaking down each round, and so far there's been 9 rounds. They happen every other week.
The voting rounds.
Yeah, and that's to vote on the allocations for the VECRV.
Okay.
And so right now, for every dollar that a protocol spends on a bribe through Vodium, they earn $2.68 in additional CRV emissions. So it's like super lucrative for them to do that. And I figure with markets being open and competitive, like that will eventually maybe settle just under the max profit level. And so that's getting paid directly to CVX holders. Like this last round that just ended, it was $15.4 million put up in bribes on Vodium.
Wow.
Which came out to, each VLCVX holder getting 59 cents on average. And some of those were
per token.
Yeah. And so you've got all these different breakdowns. Like some pools were more, some people wanted to get more CVX as the bribes, and so they staked it down here, even though it was a lower yield. Or maybe they're in the pool. Alchemex puts up bribes so that those loans are boosted, which is pretty cool. So that's kind of one of the value propositions I feel like for Convex is, regardless of whether you've got your tokens in a liquidity pool or locked and voting, you're kind of earning the same yield. Like right now, you can see the locking APR is, pretty low.
Yeah.
But that's not where you're getting the money. You're getting paid to allocate your share of votes, which let's see.
It's like a big proxy. It's like a big proxy for the yield. Yeah, that's cool.
And so each vote locked CVX controls 5.2 VECRV votes, and so that's the beauty of having more of these CRV tokens locked up on the balance sheet.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And it's kind of in this phase where the initial minting, at first it was happening really quickly. It's like it's a calculation, and so it's happening really quickly, and we've got about 81 million right now. So we are here, and this is kind of a tricky part. It took me a minute to understand. This is for the CRV that's passing through the protocol, like how much is created by the LP positions that have their tokens staked on Convex. So we're only here, and we've gotten 81% of the supply, but then this final 19%, it's going to take this long, and there's only a set rate of emissions, and right now it's what, like, I don't even remember. Let's see what this one said. I think it's 600. No. Yes, I don't know. Something like that. Is 100,000 or so. I'm not sure. But there's CRV emissions, and that is what will make this timeline tick by, is how quickly it goes through.
And then you had some concerns about what happens when they hit that cliff, right? Have you thought more about that since you and I spoke about it?
I'm not sure. I've thought about it more. I'm not sure what happens. I mean, right now they're doing some really cool stuff, expanding, getting more stuff locked up on the protocol, like Frax just went live soon. It's got the soon on their gauge, but you can stake it and convert it to CVX FXS. And so there's already 112 million locked up there forever.
Wow.
And that'll be able to manage the kind of the same thing. Like Frax has the same liquidity pools where their Frax is. And so then they also give a bonus, 87,500 FXS a week. And there's the revenue generation from like all these other lending things. So Frax is pretty sweet also.
The lending against.
Yeah, though, like this would be when they can.
Complex.
I know, dude.
It's like an Aave kind of thing, built into it too. So
yeah, they were like on the Rari Fuse pool, although I think they just merged with
Faye.
With Faye, yeah.
Faye, yeah.
And then, but basically being able to lend it, they can put money straight in and then lend it out, or people can stake their Frax into those pools, which is the stable coin. And I remember when you guys were doing that interview with them a while ago, like over the summer, it sounds like they can also, to help maintain the stability based on the algo, it mints directly into the Curve pool. And so here you've got the Curve, it's a tiny little piece in here, but Convex is where all that's been staked onto. I don't know. Well, it's just so many moving pieces.
But you said something really good at the beginning too, and I just went and looked at the tokenomics on the two. With Curve has a circulating supply right now of about 400 million, but a max supply of like 3.3 billion. And I think Convex is only like 100 million, maybe.
So the Convex or the Curve, the current circulating supply is the 517 million, and then 400 million are locked, but they're not locked at the full duration, so there's less VE CRV.
Okay.
And so then we're what, like right here ish. So this is where we're at in this initial distribution. There was initially like 1.3 billion CRV minted, with the max ever to be 3.36 billion, I think. So
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we're still years away from even this first round of CRV tokens being distributed. So that inflation is that key. And with Convex having already 50% of that vote escrowed portion, that means that it's going to take a long time for anybody to be able to beat them through inflation. I feel like.
Yeah.
But once this ends, and this is probably, based on like at the end, it really drops off really quickly. This was another guy I was talking with, Casper B. He's helped me make up some of these things and understand this all better. But like, it's really, so there's these cliffs. The way the calculation of it is that it's for each, I can pull it up on the docs. Like basically it mints divided by how many cliffs are left, and the cliffs happen every 100 million or 100,000 every 100,000 CVX tokens printed. And then so it's really right at the very end where you really get this drop off in rewards. And so it's going to take a long time to get past that portion.
Okay.
So I think there's a lot of time to lock up a lot of CRV.
People still have time to ape in on it.
Okay. So the play is then, again, not financial advice for anybody. Just, we're just shooting the shit here. But it seems to me like you want to be somewhere in CVX, but I don't know if you want to stake CRV on CVX or stake CVX on CRV. What are your thoughts there, or is it both?
Yeah, so the CRV converting this, if you try to do this, it'll probably pop up a warning and say, hey, you can actually get more of this if you just swap it into the CVX CRV liquidity pool on Curve. And that's because the CVX is being printed right now while they lock up more and more. But then it will likely stabilize pretty well. So staking it here, you earn, 27 if you're trying to stack as much CVX as possible, since that's the voting power that controls such a large portion. You get 27% of your money comes back to you in CVX. They also have these other pools, so like the CVX ETH pool, you get 40 or 37% of your dollar amount back in CVX essentially. So that's a more efficient way, is to use these higher yield liquidity providing, if that's the goal, to stack as much CVX, which, and then you're also exposed to the CVX price. So if it goes up, good days.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're locking it, you're not earning CVX directly. You're earning the CVX CRV. And you can stake that then and earn that 50% and, compound it all. But
so you're much better off in a pair, either on convex or curve, to earn more convex if that's your goal.
Yeah. And the thing with the other part, though, the reason that 3 or 4% that you see here is kind of irrelevant is the majority of the money or the tokens you get in like the value prop of CVX is having it locked, which means it's illiquid for 16 weeks or so. But then it goes into here, and for certain pools like CVX, each protocol usually bribes in their own token. Like Alchemix will put up ALCX.
Right.
MIM pool will put up Spell. CVX will put up, or Convex will put up CVX for their liquidity pools. And so you can get paid in Convex at basically the same APR as the staking, but it's pure Convex if you're playing, or pure CVX if you're playing that way. So staking has that risk of illiquidity, but
the bribes come in as those projects tokens. Convex keeps those tokens and then pays out to stakers in CVX, or do the stakers get other tokens?
Yeah, it all passes straight through, because Vodium's not part of Convex, but any bribes that are put up, they take a little fee off of it for all the effort they're doing, and then the rest of the tokens are distributed directly to the bribers. And if you don't, you can delegate to them, and then if you don't do anything with it, like you don't assign the vote to the individual pools, they'll just allocate it to kind of balance things out, which usually gives you a better percent yield, but then you get left with a bunch of tokens to claim, which is hard on the gas fees if you're not a big bag holder.
Yeah, and this is all layer one. And
this is Ethereum.
Yeah, and so you may be getting all these collections of tokens, but at the end of the day, you've got to make sure you have enough in there that it's going to be worth it
to pull it down. Yeah,
exactly.
So that point makes it very interesting. What Andre and Danielle have been kind of intimating that Andre is launching, which sounds like a competitor to Curve on Phantom, but I'm still not sure what he's launching. Have you had a chance to look at that at all? What he's written?
I've been just kind of glancing at it a little bit. It seems like, so this goes back to kind of how the CRV is emitted. Remember, you earn it in stable pair, or you earn it in that 3 CRV token. And that's based on, where is it? It's like 4% of whatever you put in, or whatever your VE CRV. There we go. No. Okay. Anyways, you earn a yield on it based on the fees from the pool. And then VE33, I think what they're doing is the tokens are emitted. It's like what they say, like 2 million a day, and then it'll go to the pools, I think. And then once there's people locking their governance token, then they get an increasingly larger proportion of those emissions, but also only for the pools that they're voting on.
Got it.
So that's kind of an interesting model where it incentivizes people to lock and vote, and thus helps the protocols boost their liquidity, because then their tokens are getting
There's less supply. Yeah, less supply of tokens out there.
Yeah.
So you want them locked up. Plus, the 4-year lock is really good because then you don't get the volatility of people trading out. You know, like we said earlier, when someone goes from $4 to $100, it's hard not to trade that out.
Yeah.
So I think it's another feature, just like we talked about in some of the other ones, where you know, it's part of the overall like stabilization of tokenomics. Maybe I don't know what the right, you know, the whale dump prevent basically. And sort of stabilizing yield. That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, and there's quite a few protocols that are pretty big that do these vote escrowed tokenomics, governomics, and like Frax was the example of another one that's already being brought into Convex. There's also what you've got. Yearn is it just passed that governance model. Where they're gonna do a VE YFI, I think, like a VE style program, sharing the protocol's revenue, which, you know, they've got their quarterly reports, which is pretty sweet, and so they've got, you know, several $1 million coming in. Where is it? Like monthly. And that'll get redistributed through YFI buybacks or something. It's all in flux right now. There, got Pickle Finance. That's the same thing. I think Pickle, I think it merged with Yearn, so they do a vote escrow thing where then you can boost your gauges
by locking.
Yeah, you'd lock your dill or your pickle and into dill, which is the VE. And then you can boost your gauge or any other gauge and get paid out in the platform fees, I think.
At least, yeah. No, it's funny because I haven't dug as deep. You know, I've had a bunch of Curve at different points, but I haven't dug as deep into it because, you know, I was in Geist. And so these, you know, G tokens that come out from the deposits onto the platform, you know, they can automatically be staked into these different Curve pools. I don't know if I haven't quite figured them out, but it's, you know, little fractional amounts going in every day, and it starts building up, and then you're earning Curve or whatever the rewards are. But it seems like it's, you know, for all the stuff we just talked about, like the small deposits, small amounts, you know, capturing that in a way to move that around in a low transaction fee environment, because they're smaller deposits usually, is pretty cool. And, you know, I like how Curve now and CVX seem to be pulling a lot of elements of this together that, you know, makes me thinking about Aave and where Aave should be doing more, you know, at this point, along these lines. So,
yeah, and Aave has their governance token, and kind of spinning more out of these Curve wars. There's, of course, more stuff. Like Bent is basically kind of a fork, a clone of Convex, where you can treat your CVX tokens as Convex treats the CRV. So you can like stake it or lock it forever into Bent CVX. Stake your liquidity pairs on here and mint Bent. But there's also this bribe protocol, which is going to do it with, I think, all governance tokens, maybe. Yeah, where you can do it in a similar voting way, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
All the different protocols that have governance tokens. So you don't have to you can gasless on-chain governance for the users. So, you know, if you have a couple Aave, you might be able to stake them here and vote on each thing without having to pay the gas transactions. And then also probably that means bribes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, tips, you know, votes is another way to do it too.
Yeah.
It just so happens the votes are currency.
Yeah. I love it that they just call it what it is.
Have you, Eamon, I was dropped out for a second there with the camera issue, but have you looked at Redacted in regards to this?
A A little bit. I need to dig in a little deeper. But it seems like I know they've been doing some pretty large CVX, CRV purchases. And they're also issuing their tokens through a bond initially where you can bond CVX or CRV, which they then took to CVX and locked it up. There was, and then their treasury, it's just another rebase version, but instead of it rebasing towards one DAI, I think it's going to be rebasing towards like maybe one vote. I'm not sure exactly on what what it'll play out as, but like it'll be backed by some number of votes or something. I'm assuming.
That's
you can see here they're locking everything they get.
It's a very interesting play on using the rebasing capabilities for one specific use, right? So it's interesting.
Oh wow! I think Redacted has more CVX than Frax now. It looks like they've got
nice
million. So that's pretty massive.
That is.
Yeah, and I think this is their thing is it's like vote escrow as a service, where instead of it going through these bribes and everything, it seems like protocols will be able to go to them and buy their votes directly into the treasury, and that benefits everybody by having a larger treasury.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
very nice.
Pretty fascinating. So, I mean, in the long run, I could definitely see this kind of eating the entire system.
Well, it's
well, and here's for the average user, it's a hell of a lot easier, right?
Yeah.
Like you gain the benefits without. I mean, you're probably losing out on something, but you're getting the benefits without having to deal with all the complexity of convex and curve. You just buy butterfly and stake it.
Yeah, it's it seems like it's a lot less interventional way to become a player in the curve war.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I like it. I'm really curious to see what Andre does because I guarantee you it'll have some brilliant play on it. So Dennis is asking, can you talk about Dopex option vaults play in the curve wars? Do you know anything about that?
Oh, I looked at that. Dopex. I'm not sure exactly. Let's take a look. I remember seeing that you could bring your G-ohm in and lock it up.
Really?
Yeah, and sell options on it.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, and you kind of get like a strike price. You can set it at a certain strike price.
Very interesting.
Where's this going? Come on. There we go. Connect to Arbitrum. That might do the trick. Wait, where was this? No, I saw a Geom before.
Maybe it sold out or something.
Single staking option vaults. So you like bring your liquidity in and you stake it. Yeah, I'm not sure how this pertains directly to the curve wars. That's an interesting thought, though.
Dennis, if you're still listening, do you have any insights there?
DPX. No.
Well, anyway, look, I think overall this is this. I don't see that this slows down anytime soon.
Hold on.
What's that?
Dennis is saying more about if he knows what they're planning because they're hinting about it in Discord.
Oh, that they're going to make some move on Curve. Okay.
Yeah, there's not a bunch of data released right now.
I found the Geom single staking.
Gotcha.
15.44% APY. They've got 5.4 million TVL.
This is kind of okay. When I looked at this before, it was showing an APY of like 4,000%, and that was just the pass through. So this must be
what?
Yeah, this is still pass through.
So what are you supplying your geom?
Yeah, you
for the sale at the strike price?
Yeah, you can lock it into. You can sell options. And so you can pick a strike price and you put geom in.
Right.
And so then if it, closes in the money, depending on how in the money it is, you lose a portion of your
geom.
Yep. Or if it closes out of the money, then you just made all that extra alpha.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
Here's the APRs on this most recent closing. Like 15,000 geom did not go down that low, and so you earned a nice hefty yield on your geom that was put in.
So it's
like compounding the compounds.
Yeah, no, that's very cool that you can compound on top of it if you're not at, obviously there's some risk there, but
if you don't lose it all.
Yeah, exactly. That's interesting.
It's geom, so it's the mother load, it's the big one.
Yeah, exactly. That's crazy. Wow. Eamon, that's fascinating. I'm playing. I have some butterfly, so I'm playing on that field because I hadn't taken the time to dive into this more. But now I'm fascinated too, kind of thinking through what this means for liquidity for the future. Right? Do we get more copies of this model? Do we get variances on this model? Is anyone capable of building up enough volume relative to what Curve has to make it even competitive, right? So I don't know. I think it's just I'm just thoroughly amazed every day at the big brain shit that people are creating and actually think of. So it's just astounding.
It's mind blowing.
It really is.
It's really this whole convex really shook up the curve wars that were kind of slowly playing out, and really changed the dynamics where now it's kind of a race against the clock, locking as much as possible, and then you can just ride out the storm for the rest of time.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's brilliant. It's really cool. It's really cool. Well, man, thank you so much for this. I'm sure everyone's loving getting all this information and education. So I really appreciate it. And I can't thank you enough for everything you're doing for We're Forked Club, man. I just thank you so much for your help.
No, it's so fun. I'm stoked.
Cool. Well, thanks, I think just before this call, Joe and I were bouncing around. We're actually talking about how we take this a little bit bigger. And you and I've had some brainstorming sessions about it as well. So I'm excited to see what we can do, and maybe we can take away your last nursing day if you don't love it too much. So
that's awesome.
Cool, man. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming in, and everybody, please join the Discord so you can say thank you to Eamon, who is there as 0 G's. Really, really appreciate you taking the time to do this for us and doing the work.
Heck yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for having me.
Thanks, man. Take care.
Thanks, Eamon. All right. Talk to you later, buddy.
Bye-bye.
So awesome. We wrapping up?
Yes, sir. That was amazing. That was great.
I like that guy a lot, man.
Yeah.
Super smart.
We just need to get Eamon to come on every day and educate us on different protocols, and then you and I can just sit back and ask questions.
Well, I guess we got to figure out what this Dope X thing is.
Now I got to definitely look at the Dope X because I'm sitting on the geom, the Dope X with the geom.
Because it's funny, like he said, I was looking at DeFi Llama, and number 2 on all the protocols, or is the protocols they're calling it? Overview is, 1 is Curve and 2 is Convex.
Nice.
And 3 is Maker, then Aave. But yeah, 23.5 billion on Curve and 19 billion on Convex, and the numbers aren't that out of. I mean, the TVL ratios are good too. So
nice.
I mean, this is going to be a big play for 2022, and this is an institutional grade play.
Yeah,
I mean, this is what's
now
funny
these
about
are the
a lot
kind of numbers that they won't like. They'll still be astonished at, but they'll be excited that the potential is there.
Yeah, because look, you can move bigger chunks of money in and out of these platforms.
Yep.
I mean, we saw what happened when Justin took his $4.5 billion out of Aave and put it in Tron.
Right.
I mean, the market didn't even really blink.
Yeah.
It was just like boom, boom.
Well, and that's why it's so critical to these protocols, right? These protocols want this liquidity locked up because it's critical to their survival, right? Yeah. I mean, you can mosey along with a little token that doesn't have a ton of liquidity for a while and, be an interesting thing. But ultimately, all of these are players, Alchemix, Olympus DAO, Frax. These are all people that want to own it, right? They are angling to be the top 10 tokens in the future. And so in order to do that, they got to have this. And like I said, I think it's fascinating. I love the way this shit evolves out. Like you start with Curve and then Andre does bribing and then bribing gets wiped out by convex bribing because there's so much more, it's all inclusive and it's so much more valuable. And I'm excited to see what Andre does on Phantom. And I think that if the model is as compelling that a lot of people wape into it, but also gives retail traders an opportunity to play in this game where they can't do that on layer one, right? If you've got a $500 to put in, you're not doing that you're not putting it into Convex because you can't afford the gas fees. But Phantom, you can, if they can build up the same levels of liquidity, you can have a really powerful play that anybody can be a part of controlling the liquidity.
Yeah, just look what's going on Phantom. I mean, of late between Spooky Swap, Spirit Swap, and Geist, and I don't think Aave is on there yet on Phantom, but will be soon. That all have these different features, like you're saying. Like I see new stuff rolling in on Geist and Blizzard over on AVAX. Interesting, different kind of like what Snowbank did with the little buyback from the Treasury for that token. You see different things. You see bonding things. You see different minting applications. You see all these other things coming that to me, it's just the way it evolves. And in the traditional markets, it's usually in the derivative space. You get all these kind of funny things going on. And it's kind of cool how in crypto it's sort of at the front line of it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, this isn't for anybody who's not deep in that world, traditional FI of derivatives and things. This is where you kind of get an advantage over everyone in the crypto space if you can figure this out here.
Yep.
So yeah, no, this is big. I mean, I was just looking at the DeFi Llama chart too, and like multi-chain is sitting there at number 11, right behind Uniswap.
That's interesting.
Multi-chain's got 7.36 B in TVL, and Uniswap's got 8.
Damn.
So, I mean, multi-chain could be in another 1.5 billion, and they're at like number 7. So
shit, that's awesome.
So all good things, but I got to run.
Me too, buddy.
If there's anything else you want to cover,
have a great day, everybody. Please go rate and review us. The challenge today is to please go to Apple iTunes, Apple Podcasts, and give us a rating. Subscribe to us, help us drive those numbers up so we get more people coming in, and we can get more reach in the Discord and in the everything we're doing. If you want to listen to past episodes, missiondefi.com has everything that we've done up there. Both the Mission DeFi and the DeFi launch episodes are there to traverse. And we got a lot more work to do on that site, but the link to the Discord server is there as well. So thank you so much for listening. Eamon, thank you so much for everything you're doing to help the community. And thank you so much for giving us your brain today. It was a big help in helping me understand. So appreciate that.
Yeah. And thank you as well, Eamon. I did see one final thing from Dennis. He said he believes that Redacted is going to buy some DPX or RDPX.
Uh-huh.
There's some partnership there.
All right.
type. So, awesome. Water cooler chatter, everyone. But, let's talk about it tomorrow. Everybody.
Yeah, maybe we can get the Dopex guys on here too. Let's see what we can do.
Yeah, awesome.
All right, buddy.
Talk to you later, man. Bye, everyone.
Thanks.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.